Hello YouTube, long time no see. Apologies for my absence for the last 3 Grand Prix. I've only just realised how far behind I am, but life getting in the way and all that jazz. I'm going to try and squash all 3, India, Abu Dhabi and Austin, into one video. So I'm going to try to be brief and not just fangirl all over the place about Romain Grosjean for too long. So yeah, back to India. I'm going straight in, by the way. This is a rarity. Back to India, and Sebastian Vettel has got his 4th consecutive World Championship, and Red Bull too. So congratulations, first of all. Not that any of you Red Bull types will be watching, I guess, but I can't take anything away from Sebastian Vettel. I'm not like his biggest fangirl. I like the guy. I think he's great. And you can't deny that, yes, he has the best car, but he's always had a teammate that has the best car as well. If you don't necessarily believe conspiracy theories regarding Mark Webber. So yeah, for India, obviously it was the alternator on Mark Webber's car that ended his race, but that has happened to Seb before, and there's been some sort of glove slapping sort of situation when he throws a strop after retiring. But yeah, you can't fault Sebastian Vettel's performance. It's ridiculous, quite frankly. Of course, I want to see more people being able to actually take the fight to him, of course. But yeah, I'm still unable to fault his performance at the moment. So good job on the donuts as well. Everyone, please remember that the penalty was for not being in Parc Ferme, not for the donuts. Donuts is fine, and I think everyone has piped down now because he's done it like the last 3 races, and it's been just fine because he's followed the procedure afterwards. So yes, good job, Red Bull, and all that jazz, basically. So that's all there is to say. I mean, you can't, no one's competing with him, no one. Hopefully with the big rule change next year, there is a chance of it being closer, and I mean, last year it was actually closer, so it's not completely Schumacher-esque yet. I'm probably jinxed it now. Yeah, Grosjean back on the podium. Awesome job, of course. Grosjean really genuinely is the only person able to take the fight to the Red Bulls at the moment. I mean, yeah, he's dispatched with Mark Webber on a couple of occasions, and he genuinely is the closest contender to the ridiculously perfect Sebastian Vettel. So I'm just excited for him and his future, and an imminent victory, I'm sure. See, I will try and keep fangirling to a minimum. Other things from India, I mean, I don't know, not much happened. It's India, and obviously it was all about Vettel and his astounding victory. But obviously there was a good moment where Sergio Perez woke up and decided to do something for once. I mean, I think he started the year being ridiculous in the McLaren, just driving into people left, right and centre. Then he kind of quietened down too much, and the car was obviously dreadful. And he just never really got to make an impression other than the bad one at the beginning of the season. So it was nice to see him just swooping past Hamilton and Raikkonen while they squabbled on track. You know, he just sees 2 world champions dueling, and he thinks, yeah, bye, and just sails past. So that was nice to see. But obviously, news was to come regarding his future and seat at McLaren. So I will talk about that a bit later. On to Abu Dhabi. Yeah, another beautiful overtake on Hamilton by Romain Grosjean, which is just an extra bit of satisfaction for me, I think. And Raikkonen obviously sort of bailing out of the whole thing and going to join the car park Grand Prix instead of joining the rest of them. I don't know what to say. I think he's just resigned himself to, you know, I'm done with this season. I don't want to go to the FIA gala. I have a hurty back. All these things. There's no point speculating what he's actually, you know, feeling. But okay, so he's had his back surgery and he's just going to take it easy for the end of this season and look forward to rejoining Ferrari. And we'll see what happens with that. Another nice satisfying moment for me was Massa putting a move on Hamilton, and of course the wonderful Rob Smedley, bit of Smedley FM, saying, yeah, sweet, I like that. Of course, definitely satisfying after sort of 2011 attempted overtakes, which all ended in tears. So that was really nice to see, again, a resurgent Massa barging his way past Hamilton, and that was awesome. So I'll move on to Austin because I can remember that better and I don't want to ramble for ages. So, okay, Jenson Button. I'm going to start with Jenson Button. I mean, I go on and on about Romain Grosjean, but I love Jenson. I love him. He's my fave. He's my top. So I can't forget about him. But it has been difficult to keep being, you know, vocally kind of supporting him. I always do. But, you know, when that McLaren's dreadful and he's qualifying in 13th/16th with a slightly pointless, dodgy penalty, it's difficult. It's difficult to get as excited as when, you know, okay, Romain Grosjean, my other driver, is up in second place. So, yeah, I still love you, Jensen, and I will compliment you on your wonderful facial hair because it all goes horribly wrong when you shave, as I once documented in the Button Beard database. I won't go into that. I'm a crazy person. So yeah, it's sad to see him so. You know, I mean, he's always the one joking and managing to put a smile on his face even when he's having terrible races. So it was worrying to see him so kind of despondent and upset, you know, in interviews. But he managed to salvage 10th. Yay! A whole point. Excited. I can't believe I'm getting excited about him getting a whole point, but you know, it was good. And although Perez did finish ahead of him, and people will say, you know, like, oh, you know, why did they fire Perez when they could have got rid of Button? But I think there is definitely something to be said for experience and sort of patience, because I think if you put Perez in 16th on the grid, I don't think he would have moved up as far as 10th. I really don't. I think he did a good job and got a couple more points from McLaren. But I do think it was a Jensen-esque performance to just kind of barge his way up the field as best he could, and you know that car is dreadful. So yeah, I'm quite pleased for him getting 10th and getting that 1 point. Might put a smile back on his face. And I can't believe it's now been a year since his beautiful victory in Brazil. So what a difference a year makes, in a bad way. And segueing nicely, what a difference a year makes in a magnificent way for Romain Grosjean. You know, this was all race bans and first lap nutcase last year, and you know he was up there with Maldonado as like most hated driver on the grid, and my favourites. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why am I a glutton for punishment like this? But it's so good to see Romain up on the podium weekend after weekend, and just his little face. Of course, I love it. I will try to keep the fangirling to a minimum because I actually, my blog this week for Now TV Sport is all fangirling about Romain Grosjean. I couldn't resist, I couldn't hold back any longer. So I will be quiet a little bit about Romain and just kind of direct you to that. I'll be tweeting it at some point, probably on Saturday. But yeah, I was just too excited to see him in a Stetson on the podium. I loved how my timeline just went crazy with like hat-related rage when they didn't have the Pirelli cowboy hats again this year. But at least he found one afterwards for the post-podium press conference and all the post-race interviews. So that was a sight to behold. And if anyone was watching the Sky coverage, he gave a lovely interview to Natalie Pinkham, where you know they all sort of have to think about what brought about this change in him, and it's all like, oh, is it a psychiatrist and the therapy, and is it the pressure to keep his race seat, was it the race ban, all this, and it was really sweet to hear him say that, you know, his wife Marion has sent some photos of his lovely little baby Sasha, and that obviously kind of spurs him on to drive brilliantly but also safely and all this, and it was really sweet. So had a little slightly girly moment there, which is out of character, but that's what Roman does, you know. So yeah, other than that, I mean, Austin, a few other shenanigans like Sutil stabbing the barrier and everyone leaping to blame Maldonado because he was being a bit of a dick all weekend. I still support him. I still have my pasta pom-poms, but yeah, he was not helping himself there. He's just like a ridiculous Bond villain. But in that incident, I mean, I drew a little picture. In that incident, yeah, they were all saying, okay, well, you know, there was loads of room on the left. Why didn't Maldonado move over? There was more room on the right, so you could equally say, why didn't Sutil move over? So racing incident for me. I know, yes, either of them could have moved, and they didn't. So you can't blame one or the other on that one. I would almost argue that it's slightly more Till's fault because he had even more room. So leave Pastor alone. Yeah, and then obviously Hammy Hams, Lewis Hamilton being a douchebag on his radio to his engineer. With the whole, like, every sentence ending in man, that was just slightly infuriating. And just the contradiction, like, I no, I'm sad I wrote it down. But, you know, the whole, like, I'm doing man, let me focus, and, you know, he doesn't want to hear from his engineer. And that's all, you know, it's all well and good, because, you know, Kimmy's been there with his leave me alone, I know what I'm doing, and it's funnier than when other people do it. And then, you know, the next minute he's like, you need to give me some feedback, man. I would just, if I was his race engineer, I'd just be like, I want nothing to do with this. This job is too hard. Yeah, just, he does throw his toys out the pram when his car is not perfect. When his car is perfect, he'll, you know, yes, he's a very fast driver. I don't think he's a very complete driver in the way Fernando Alonso is, for example. But yes, he's fast. So yes, if his car is there for him, he can do well and get good results. But he is such a child when it isn't. So that was just, I don't know, proving me right a bit more. Like, yeah, I am always, I'm fine with my opinion about you, and I'm sticking to it. And then, of course, we had sort of who's to replace Raikkonen, and I'm all behind Davide Valsecchi for stupid things like his really amazing fluffy hair, and that he looks like someone I know looks like Dom's brother, if you know who any of these people are, which you probably don't, but whatever. And just genuinely, like, even if I didn't like him, I'd be like, well, your job is third driver. This is your moment. This is exactly what you wait for all year, and you do these Friday practice sessions. So I do think it was ridiculous that Lotus didn't use him, because that's his job. He's there ready to stand in for Raikkonen. But I think they were just too busy, quite rightly, really thinking about the championship, thinking, you know, they can't afford to lose out. But yeah, Kovalainen, it's been longer for him since he's been in an F1 car. So although he has more experience than Valsecchi, I'd argue he's not as ready at that exact time, because he hasn't been, you know, spending week after week preparing for this moment. So I do think they made the wrong decision. But I can't argue and say Valsecchi would have done as well or better. We have no idea. No one can say that. We don't know. So yeah, Kovalainen, you did pretty well to just jump into the car at short notice and not cock up, basically. But obviously it was a pretty lackluster performance when you think the other car is up in second on the podium. So meh about that decision, really. Oh yeah, and then Magnussen to McLaren. That's unexpected. I don't know, I feel like McLaren are just like throwing everything and seeing what sticks. Like, I think they should have maybe gone for Hulkenberg maybe last year, because I mean, Hulkenberg's good. Like, I was kind of indifferent to him before, but he's properly good. I like him. And I hope he doesn't have to keep making sideways moves between Sauber and Force India, because they're kind of the same, and I think Force India is kind of worse. So I'm either like stick with Sauber, because, you know, they can pull it out of the bag. They can pull some great results out of the bag, as we saw with Perez the previous year. But yeah, it would be nice to see Hulkenberg in a better car, but then I've got Pasta sort of allegiance. I don't know what's happening with the driver market. I can't cope. But yeah, I think with Magnussen, it's another risk, like the year after. So they've got Mr. Consistency and experience and sort of mentor position for Jenson Button. Don't get me wrong, he's still got fight in him. He can win again if we just have a less horrendous McLaren for him to drive. But you know, they almost took Perez too early when he was a bit too young or unexperienced, and that didn't pay off, did it? And now they've sort of shunted him out again, and they're almost doing the same thing with Kevin Magnussen. So I don't know if it's going to pay off, but at least it's nice to see, you know, a young, potentially exciting driver get the opportunity. And, you know, even though I hate him and everything, it was the same with them getting Lewis Hamilton, having creepily groomed him since he was a child. I'm going to stop talking. So yeah, that's kind of my sort of thoughts in a really rambly, nonsensical sort of way, as usual. Excuse me. So, a couple of extra things, and I will stop talking soon because it's super long, but it's 3 races, so I think I've done okay. This Sunday for the Brazilian Grand Prix at F1 in Pub's Birmingham division at the Après Bar, we are all having a great tweet up, and it's going to be amazing. So, if anybody wants to come, please come along. It will be amazing. We've obviously got the sort of J-Bass John Button Appreciation Society informal meetup, and we will be dressing up all fancy pants. Like, I have no idea why, just because we're strange. But mainly we'll be meeting up with loads of F1 fans and just watching and enjoying the finale of the season. So if you're around or can make it, you should come because it's awesome. And other than that, yeah, feel free, if you are following me on Twitter, you will see my Grosjean Love Fest blog go up on Saturday, I believe. So you can look forward to reading that. I'll be sharing that with you because I just Romain Grosjean. You can't have a video without me just going fangirly about the lovely giraffe Romain Grosjean. So, and on that note, I shall shut up. 3 races in 16 minutes, that's not too bad. So yes, I will talk to you all on Twitter and stuff like that, and hopefully I'll have another video for you for the finale of the season and some over winter. So yeah, see you soon. Bye.